Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and we're going way back again. This time we're going to be working on a reel that's simply called Royal. So I'm thinking this is a trade reel, and I'm thinking that this is, well, around 1930. I tried to do a little bit of research on it, didn't find much on it, but that doesn't mean that it's not out there. Normally it'll tell you, it was made in the U.S. This says it's got 60 yards of capacity. And I used to hate reels like this. Growing up in the 1950s, this is pretty much what got passed down to you to start learning how to fish. They were the standard of fishing reels from, well, early 1900s right through World War II. The design and the materials and the like didn't change that much. High quality engineering all around, but, well, simply, why did I hate them? I hated them because I couldn't fish very well with them. It was the old problem about, casting and backlash. And, this one's got a little bit of noise in it. I think the noise is attributed to a missing gem cap. So I'm not sure how we're going to get around that. But I think what we'll do is we're going to take this reel apart. We're going to show you how it's made. It's a very simple construction. In this case, the reel doesn't even have the line guide assembly that was popular on reels like the Shakespeare reels and the Fluger reels of the day. So we'll take a look at this, see if we can quiet that noise, and eventually I'm going to see if I can't find the replacement cap for the spool adjuster. That might be causing some of the noise. But we're going to learn about this reel. We'll learn how to take it apart, how to service it, keep it running for a long time to come. If you like these kinds of videos, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. My channel covers everything in terms of fishing reels, from the most modern to, well, the classics, even the vintage or the antiques like this one. It seeks to try and find answers to how they were made, why they were made, when they were made, how they were used, and in some cases like me, how to learn how to cast them over time, I guess. We're going to start by taking the handle off. The handle controls the main gear. And, it's a simple big gear turns little gear, turns something to collect the line. That's how these reels were set up. And you can see it's a direct attachment to the handle. There are no drag washers or any kind of adjusters that are going to allow you to change the speed or the tension on that spool. The cast controls are about the most that it would do. And, these are what are called direct drive reels, in that there's nothing in between them. So most of the time, they also get referred to by the term knuckle buster, because the reels not only turn forward, they turn backwards. There are no anti-reverse mechanisms in this reel to hold it from back spinning. And I think that's probably where, I got in trouble when I tried to learn how to cast these. And, I just didn't do a very good job of them. Typically what I wound up doing was putting out about 10 or 15 yards of line, kind of almost like fly casting, I guess, to avoid that backlash. And over time I learned to appreciate not only the engineering in these reels, but also how to work them, how to cast them, how to go fishing with them. Once you remove the two screws, remove the cap. And we should be able to pull this off now. There we go. So, very simple. I believe it's an aluminum frame with a German silvered exterior. Here's your big gear and your little gear. It's as simple as that, right? Big gear turns little gear, turns something to collect the line. This one's a little bit different in that it has the shield on this. And we have 1, 2, 3 screws that are going to help you to remove this case to get to that pinion gear. So let's take those out. Those are also holding the frame posts. And we're fortunate on this. The screws seem to be cooperating. You can imagine over the life of this reel that it's had plenty of opportunity to have these screws seize up on you, corrode, get damaged. But again, it's a testimony to the materials that we used in this reel. So even though I don't recognize the manufacturer, the reel is very sturdy, well made, and, it's a survivor. All right, I'm going to take the 3 screws out of that, we should be able to remove the interior side plate now. We can do that, and the spool. And as I suspected, it's just a lot of dirt and old greases and the like that have been in there for quite some time that need to be cleaned up. So much of the fishing reel service and repair is nothing more than cleaning, inspecting, and lubricating the reel that you're working on. Now, of course, you're going to find times where there's damaged parts. You're going to find times where something needs to be replaced because it's worn, like a drag washer or something. But it all starts with the basic premise that the reel needs to be cleaned up, kept lubricated, and of course in good working stead. All right, so we've just put a little bit of penetrating oil on there. There's some dried grease behind where the main gear is. I'm just going to use a bristle brush to pull through on that to get the old grease out, and I pull that onto a paper towel to keep it out of harm's way. We have a little ball on the end of this. This is interesting engineering. There's a little ball that's what's going to wind up in the spool adjuster cap. The pinion gear is an integral part of the spool itself. And we'll just use the paper towel to wipe off the excess grease. We're going to bring new greases and oils onto the reel itself. And I do that, I use fishing reel grease and an artist's brush. We just want to clean one more piece, and here's the interesting thing with these reels. There's only about 8 pieces in the reel itself. You have a frame, you have a main gear, you have a pinion gear that's part of the spool assembly, a backing plate, a side plate, well, and a plate on this side as well. I do want to clean this one up before we move further. Again, now I'm going to really be interested to find the replacement, because I think when I find that side cap, you're going to have a reel. It's just an incredible reel here, just based on the quality of the materials I'm seeing and on the way of the manufacturer. You can see we probably have, I'm going to guess that's brass in the center there, when they really did use brass. And well, it makes all the difference in the world in terms of the reel staying well made. All right, there's a little bit of grease onto the back end of the shaft. I'll bring this in. And bring our internal plate on. We want to line that up for the posts. Now this reel would be used in fresh water. There are examples of big reels. Here's one. Almost looks the same as the one we're working on, but it's just, well, 3 times, 4 times the size. That would be one that would be used in salt water. And again, very similar in design. No drag system or support. The reel turns front and back, and that one has greater capacity, bigger gears, and more to manage the bigger fish. All right, check the teeth here. These are clear, and all the channels in the teeth are clear, so you simply can just put some new grease on there. If you notice that they were dirty, if they were filled with old grease, then you would want to use something like a bristle brush to clean those crevices out. But in this case, this one's working fine. And one more, just a little bit of grease onto the post for that main gear. Once you do that, you can merge back in the main gear, and then we can bring the side plate on. As I was putting that on, I just noticed there's a little bit of dirt in that little anchor point there, the case bushing sleeve, etc. You might as well get that out. Well, it wasn't as much as I thought it was. All right, let's bring that back on. So sometimes you take these with the idea of taking them fishing when you find them. I don't remember where exactly I found this one. That was a whoops. But sometimes it's just like, okay, I just want to explore this. Maybe we'll just keep it around as a conversation piece. Most of the time I like to, if I'm going to keep the reel, I do like to take it out, take it fishing, and I'll see how it performs. I belong to a group called ORCA. It's the Old Reel Collectors Association. It's orca.org as a website. They actually have an old tackle competition on their annual conventions. They have a casting competition for distance, and they have a casting competition for accuracy. I've yet to get to one of their conventions. It's on my list. I do want to make sure that I get there at some point. But for now, just knowing that it's got a casting competition and that I have a few of these old reels, I don't put myself in the collector category, but I do have a few of these old reels. It wouldn't hurt to put them on period appropriate polls and give it a try. I'm sure that there are lots of fellows out there that do way better than I will ever do on these. As I mentioned, I started out hating them because I couldn't cast them. Gotten a little bit better, but I don't think I've gotten to the point of mastery that the folks that are part of ORCA that participate in these casting competitions are, for sure. All right, there's 2 more screws here. There's the handle. Now we're going to go see if we quieted this reel down. And then somewhere we've got to find that little jewel cap that goes on the other side. If anybody out there has a jewel cap that fits this reel, if anybody knows anything about these reels, please add that in the comments section. Always looking to learn more. So Royal, I believe this is what's called a trade brand. I haven't seen that internal hood on the internal side plate here. I haven't seen that say, okay, that identifies it as a Shakespeare or something like that. I just don't know what that one is. But they are an interesting design. And if that's a tip to you in terms of who made the reel, then again, please pass that on to me. I'm always learning, always interested to learn a little bit more about these reels. Okay, we'll put that cap on this side. The handle goes back on. And so here's the neat thing about this. They call these things field serviceable, right? If you're out there in the stream and something starts getting a little wonky with the reel, it doesn't take you a lot to take this apart, to untangle some line that may have gotten trapped inside, or clean out some debris or something. Again, it's minimal amount of pieces, not a lot of effort, but in the end, you can certainly get to the point where it's respectable and out fishing again without ruining your trip. All right, what did we do? We took it apart completely. We showed you how the reel is made. Internally, it's a big gear, drives a little gear. A couple of little differences on this one. Doesn't have the line guide. That's fine. Actually, it's what I prefer. It is missing a jewel cap. We're going to try and find that. It has a direct drive where it has a big gear, drives a little gear, which happens to be attached to the spool, drives something to collect it. That's all there is to this reel. Let's give it a ride and see how we did. Well, it turns nice and free and easy. And I'm sure what's going to happen here is I'm going to find that jewel cap somewhere, sometime. And when I do, that little chirp that's on that side spool, it's got just a little wobble. That cap is gonna take that down completely. But even as it is, even without the cap, that's a nice quiet operator. And well, it's a lesson learned. I hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you take the opportunity, if you find an old reel around, to take it apart, see how it's made, and well, get it serviced. Give it a chance to go fishing again, even if it's just for a day or two, to try and figure out how to cast the thing. Well, before I leave, I want to thank our first responders, our police, fire, safety, rescue, everybody involved in keeping us out of harm's way. I truly appreciate your dedication to task and your career choice and your service on behalf of the public good. Also want to thank everybody for watching. You are what makes the channel what it is and what it will become. I appreciate your suggestions, your comments, and your watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, wishing everybody a great day.